program called the Nutrition Pantry Program. And I have, let's see, 3 pantries that I'm working with right now, and that is Sumner, Gardner, and Bar Harbor Food Pantry. In the program really takes a holistic approach to the food pantry. We really put the client at the center. So we look at the 6 focus areas that affect the client and their experience at the food pantry. Holly, do you want me to share my screen for the brochure, or do you want me to just talk about it? Oh, hold on, I can't hear you. Sorry.
I muted myself. Okay, so I'm going to make you a co-host and you should be able to share your screen.
Okay, just wasn't sure if that would be helpful.
Yep.
Okay. All right, are you able to see the brochure?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So these are the 6 focus areas that the program focuses on. So the implementer of the program and the pantry partner to really get the client's input and do like a client's needs assessment and kind of decide, what area might need strengthening in the pantry. So we have nutrition education, and that of course includes SNAP educators, cooking matters, programming, the environment of the pantry itself. So that could be, posters, recipe bundling, all of those things, making sure that there's really like a warm and welcoming environment for the client, forming community connections, looking at inventory and purchasing, cultural and dietary accommodations, and even the pantry's policies and procedures. So really it's a partnership between the implementer and the pantry to really bolster efforts in fighting hunger. So in the Nutrition Pantry program also takes a trauma-informed approach as well. So not only we're looking at it holistically, but we're really looking at food insecurity through a trauma-informed lens as well. So we're providing education there and looking at trauma that clients may have experienced in the past, and also trauma they're experiencing currently, and really trying to tailor our approach, keeping that in mind. So the steps of the process are up at the top, and that's really involves some planning between the implementer and the pantry, developing a work plan. So kind of deciding what focus areas you'd like to work on first, prioritizing them, beginning the implementation process, which is where I am right now with the other pantries. It is slower because of COVID, so it's taking a little bit longer. But right now, Holly and I are partnering to help Sumner and bring Cooking Matters programming into the pantry. That will probably happen in the spring when COVID settles down a little bit. And then, after implementation, there's the option to certify the pantry. We have bronze, silver, and gold certification, and it's great public recognition, visibility, which can provide, opportunities for additional funding. So there's a lot there. That's just the Nutrition Pantry program in a nutshell, and I'm happy to provide more information, or Holly can too. She's trained implementer. Amy is a trained implementer. So any of us are available to answer questions about the program. Did I cover that, Holly? Do you want me to go? I didn't want to go too in depth. It's a lot.
No, I thought that was good. That was good.
All right.
Thank
I'll
you.
stop sharing my screen.
Okay. So this program is really just a way to kind of think possibly a little differently about how you do things at the pantry and how it affects the clients who come, as well as the volunteers who are in the pantry. And it's a different way that some of you may have thought about is emergency food, because as you know, for a lot of families, it's not just becoming an emergency food, but it's a regular food source. And it's definitely designed to take some of the stigma away from that. I mean, it would be horrible to know that people are going hungry because they're ashamed to come to the food pantry. And we know that happens. And I think that is the number one thing that this program is trying to do, to make sure that everybody feels comfortable, that it is a bright, cheery place, and that there is nutritious and healthy food. So if you have any inkling of wanting to look into this program, as Meg says, I just went through the training and can help you do that. I would love to partner with 1 or 2 pantries this year and see if they would be interested in working on this project. So just think about it, send it back to your board, who needs to, and let me know. So that's the Nutrition Pantry program. And Jimmy is on here because he was going to talk a little bit about what programs are going on in his neck of the woods and in the world and how it affects all of us here in the Western Foothills. So I'm going to turn it to Jimmy.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so the Emergency Food Assistance Program is kind of funded federally. So this is a federal program, and that's kind of our main thing. And all of that kind of comes through. We'll get in something from like, we have a budget, but ultimately what we can get in can be about 5 times that budget based on, you know, the USDA trying to stimulate the economy for a series of producers. So that's pretty exciting that we get to get in as much as we do. And if there's one thing you take from this meeting is that we do not have a food shortage in TFAP at all. Same with CSFP, which is our other program that I am the director of. So that's the Commodity Supplemental Food Program for seniors 60 plus. And most states have that program as well. As far as general updates, I would say, yeah, right now things are a little hectic with supply chain issues, and a lot of it's from COVID too, but people are like, we're getting in trucks that things are just getting pushed back a little bit. So like we'll have trucks that are just showing up later and rescheduling. But this isn't, I think this is relatively temporary. As far as like the big, huge issue, it's just like, I think a lot of right now, it's like truck drivers that are, you know, they're just short, kind of like the pilots and whatnot. So yeah, I think we'll overcome that pretty quick. And
Are there
yeah, I don't know if we want to.
Jimmy, are there any food items or supplies that you're seeing that's a big surplus that people should be aware of that are coming, that are going to be coming to them that they should prepare for?
Yeah.
Sometimes when we get a surplus of things like lentils, we like to send out recipes so people know what to do with them.
Yeah, so right now we'll have a lot of peanut butter coming out, which is good because it's super useful. And yeah, we also have a surplus of pistachios, which is rather odd.
Oh,
But
nice.
we
Send them
more or
my
less
way.
scored a deal, and like it'll happen where, you know, they'll say, okay, we have extra, and so many of the states will get them in the Northeast, and then New York's like, actually, we can't take all that money or all that much, and I'll kind of swoop in and be like, well, Maine could use them. So kind of learned from Jason. He was very ambitious in that realm. So yeah, we're always excited to get in what we can, and we'll have a good bit of salmon coming in that way, canned salmon. So yeah, excited for that. Trying to think of what else is like we have an abundance of. UHT milk, we have a lot of that. So I think the next 6 months or so will be just getting out as much of that as we can, those 3 items. But generally, we try to keep a healthy proportion of, you know, the macronutrients, staples.
So
go ahead, Joanne.
Your food, I'm not familiar with actually the supply chain. You get the food from the federal government and give it to Good Shepherd and they give it to us. Is that the idea?
Precisely. Yep.
I see. And do you have just shelf-stable food? Is that the only thing you have, or do you have meat or anything like that?
So primarily we get in the shelf-stable food. That's a lot easier to kind of figure out, but we do get in loads of produce, some frozen items as well. So yeah, like we got in, I think we're going to get like a full truckload of fresh pears at some point this summer. So that's pretty exciting. Some oranges and like mixed bags of produce too. So.
Joan, are you looking for meat proteins for Bridgeton? Because if you reach out to Sandy Sweat at the Harrison Food Bank, she can also help you with filling in any blanks on your shelves. And
Oh,
she
okay.
incredible. I saw her post and wrote to her. They're very well stocked right now. She's gotten a ton of stuff from Pineland Farms and a lot of other producers.
Okay, we get a lot of donations from Hannaford, so, which is good, but I just wondered if, how much is possible to get through the regular food chain.
Well, Joanne, just to kind of let you know kind of the process on Good Shepherd's side, just really quickly, and Jimmy, you can tell me to stop talking whenever. But so each county is allocated a certain percent of a menu that changes quarterly. So the USDA will send us a menu for a quarter that is allocated to Cumberland. And then Cumberland will get a certain allocation, like Bridgeton will get maybe 2 or 3% of 150,000 pounds. So you're kind of allocated a certain amount, and then it will change the next quarter. And except for frozen, if I remember correctly, frozen, you can go on there and order, and it is preceded by the word TFAP, and it's free, and it's frozen, whatever is available for that quarter. So that's kind of how that program works. So Jimmy may get a bunch of pistachios, but then that's only available for a quarter. The next quarter, he may have almonds or white rice or brown rice. Does that make sense?
So is the food that comes through TFAP free, or it's always free? Oh, I like that. That's
You'll
good.
never have to pay for TFAP. That's the big rule with it. So
Oh, great.
yeah, that's nice.
If you would like me to, Joanne, I can go back and see what your allocation is, and perhaps Penny is getting the sales orders that customer service is putting in, so you know what to get.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
And I have been working with, Good Shepherd's team as far as kind of figuring out, we are going to be shifting away from that county-based quarterly model and kind of transitioning to a monthly model that is based per pantry and household served at that pantry. So we're trying to just get it more accurate. We are still working out some of the details, and there will be some wiggle room going on of figuring out what those sweet spot numbers are per item. But yeah, obviously, it's based on availability. But yeah, I can tell you right now, we'll have a lot of pistachios, peanut butter, and UHT for the next good while, at least I'd say 6 months. So.
Oh, that's okay.
Mm.
That's
You
good
ever-
that you're moving to that monthly thing, because I know Amy and I have talked about when people have way too much of something and it's goes on seemingly forever, and it's just wasting food. So that's great that this is changing that system.
So will that help with, we get too much of certain products. And I would like to, ideally, it would be if you could order your TFAP according to your need. Is that ever gonna happen? Is that the goal of the monthly program? Because we have so many dried beans and we have a whole lot of rice, and we just can't move that much. I mean, we move some of it, but it's and Amy helps us move it, and sometimes you can find somebody, but it takes up space.
Certainly. Yeah. I think that is going to be a big part of the goal, is to kind of figure out how we can just improve these parts. I know as far as because I control all the procurement for that program, and I'm going to be a lot less ambitious about the dry beans. I mean, maybe some Great Northern beans here and there, but we've we've overdone it. Last year we got crazy with it, and yeah, it was like, oh, we get all these free beans. And it's like, you know,
Yes, I mean, it's wonderful, and I don't want to sound like I'm complaining about too much food. That's a terrible thing to sound like, but, and we had this sort of the same problem with our senior boxes, is that a lot of the seniors, we surveyed them, and because they get it, but they don't use that much, and it's the same product that's on our shelf. So if they come and shop, it's an overkill. And what we asked them is if we could go, and this is an if we could do it quarterly, would you prefer that as opposed to a box that comes every month? And most of them did. And a lot of that is it's one senior in a household. They're very, once in a while, you know, there may be a couple in a few households, but mostly they're individuals. And so we've been trying to figure out how to we'd love to share, and we don't want to have more than our fair share. And right now, I think on some products, we have more than our fair share.
So funny that you're getting dried beans. I don't have a lot of dried beans in my food pantry.
Would you like them?
Yeah.
Where
Not
are
either.
We don't have a lot of shelf-stable milk right now either. We're really low in a lot of those things, milk. And
Now, what pantry are you?
I'm Servant's Hot Pantry over there in Peru.
You're in Peru.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a ways.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys can meet in the middle. Maybe you can meet in the
Maybe we
middle and
could.
do a little bean exchange.
Meet in Bethel or something.
Sure.
Because we have a lot. We do have a lot. And that farina, the like cream of wheat, that's hard to move.
hard to move.
It's
Yeah.
terrible. We can't even give it away.
Yeah, so you know, it's sometimes you get the feeling like you're getting somebody else's things that they don't want. Well, I'll give it to the pantry, give it to the, you know. But my thing is, if you wouldn't need it, then we should, you know. But maybe we can work out on how to do it with Peru if you don't have dried beans.
Yeah, we just, we had a few come in, but it's not like something that's taking a lot of space on my shelves. I just don't have a lot of it. I'm having a hard time keeping anything on my shelves right now. Do you have that problem? I mean,
Yeah.
we get a delivery, it's a big delivery, and then the next week we're empty again. So it's.
So tell me what you're lacking. Dried beans. Would you be able to move farina?
No.
The
we
cream
have
of
a lot
wheat?
that. Yeah, we have a lot of that too. I don't have any tomato sauce right now or tomatoes, milk. This is
Yeah,
a lot.
those-
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we're good with the milk because we moved that. And the tomato sauces and stuff, we buy a lot of that ourselves. So we purchase a lot on our own also to get the products that will move.
Yeah, I've just started doing that.
How far is Peru? I used to live in Peru, but I don't remember how far is Peru from Bethel.
It's about 35 minutes, 30, 25, around there, depending on what part of Bethel you're talking.
Okay, because Sweden to Bethel is about a half an hour, so maybe that's an option.
It's right in the middle. Yeah, sure.
It's in the middle.
Guys can meet for lunch, right?
Yeah.
You can meet Bill up there in Bethel for lunch. That would be great.
I'll make you some farina.
Oh, yay. Can't
Is
wait.
farina just like cream of wheat? Is it just like?
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's just generic.
Little
I mean,
Yeah.
I buy cream of wheat. We eat cream of wheat.
I don't mind cream of wheat, but it's sort of, again, it's the amount.
It's the amount. It's the quantity. It scares people. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
I think people really want to just grab something fast, you know.
Many of
I don't
our
know.
clients simply don't know how to cook it.
Yeah.
I think it throws people off just with the title farina. People are like, what's that? So I think it's really fundamentally got a marketing problem.
So what if we
Yes, it does.
bagged it and called it cream of wheat?
Like, you can't repackage it at all, but you could definitely like just you can never refer to it as farina. That's
You could-
totally fine. You know,
You could
like,
put a sign up that says
Yeah.
cream of wheat.
exactly.
We'll try that maybe. And I have told people that, but
You could even put on your sign, new and improved cream of wheat, now called farina. You know, it's all about marketing it. You know what I realized, Ben? I am so sorry. I did not let you introduce yourself. Ben, are you still there? I see your phone. I don't know if you're driving. Oh,
No, I'm here. I thought you excluded me on purpose, Holly.
no, I would never do that.
I'm kidding. I'm Ben Tucker. I'm one of Angus King's 7 regional representatives. I have Androscoggin, Oxford, Franklin, and Somerset counties are my territories for the senator, and I actually live in Norway. So these local groups certainly pertain to my home base area, and I would take the opportunity to actually to commend Holly on taking this job on and doing such an outstanding job of these meetings.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Ben. So one of the things that you guys should know, and I know that some of you know, is that I have a huge stash of recipes already printed up. I've been submitting to the Advertiser Democrat for over 2 years, healthy recipes. And I also do a kids column now too. So I've got a ton of them. So if there's any ingredient that you want to push and you don't think people know how to cook, and that you want like maybe a simple direction on how to cook farina, maybe it needs to be in large print as opposed to the little print on the box. Maybe that's all that people need. Like Carl had a whole bunch of spaghetti squash, so I sent him some spaghetti squash recipes. Apparently a lot of people on our staff didn't know how to cook spaghetti squash either. So it kind of helps a lot of people. So I'm really happy to shoot you an email. We have a new 5210 Let's Go director, and she just asked me today for some healthy Valentine recipes she wanted to send to her champion at one of her schools. And I'm like, no problem. Mine are all dated and they're really easy to get to. So it is not a problem at any time. I'm happy to do that. And when COVID cools down, hopefully, and we can open up windows and get fresh air, I would love to be teaching our direct ed classes. Like I'm going to be doing one out in East Sumner, but I can also do them at the other food pantries, depending on the space and the availability. We could also find a central location and have people come to, another place if your pantry doesn't really work. I love to teach in Rosalie's pantry because it's really close to me and it has a great kitchen. So just things to think about in the future. If you think that your clients could handle a virtual class, I'm willing to try that. Willing to get my feet wet in the world of virtual cooking classes because it seems like it's going on forever. So, just let me know what you're thinking and what you hear from your people. Rosalie?
I'd like a recipe for this farina that really tells them that it is cream of wheat and how it's to be cooked and used as a breakfast food. It can also be used as a thickening for soups, etc.
I will work on that tomorrow and send one out to you. And I'll do it in a large font because I think that always helps. If I don't have to look for my reading glasses, I think that helps everybody. So
Okay.
we might find some other uses for farina that don't even have to do with breakfast,
Yeah, wallpaper paste is a good one.
Well, there's a lot of home
But
projects
I did have
going.
this thought about farina. I don't know whether the pantries ever have any raisins or not, but if you packaged farina with a box of raisins with a recipe by simply adding raisins and cinnamon to farina, it makes it a much more palatable and nutritious breakfast. So if you put those two together,
I had a
with
ball of
dried fruit. Go ahead, Linda. What were you gonna
What's
say?
that?
I was just gonna say, I used to have a volunteer who had pet rats and her pet rats loved it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
Well,
Just in
you know,
case.
I know some pantries have pet food, have dog food, so maybe this is how we need to push this, you know? My
Find
husband
a way
likes
to
to
step
put
it
peanut
up.
butter on the mouse traps. Maybe we need to put little pasty balls of farina on them.
Marina, there you go.
Linda, thank you for that. You made my day.
It's all about the marketing.
And,
always
and
wanna
then
be
I think I'm
helpful.
gonna have you in as a guest chef for a cooking master class. But I do know the pantries, they tend to have, well, I've seen like dried cherries and all kinds of other dried fruits that,
We get a lot of dried fruits. We get dried figs that come in from TFAP
right?
and dried cranberries and sometimes dried prunes.
Yeah,
which-
those are wonderful in yogurt, in oatmeal, in cream of wheat, in rat food. It's the,
Just throw it out there.
I don't know if I should be recording this one. Yeah.
Oh, I always forget it's being recorded. I
Wow.
should keep my wise guy comments to myself.
Joan, you said you had some other questions. Do you have any other questions you'd like to ask the group?
Yes, well, Meg was talking about, it sounded like your program is changing, is maybe making the food pantries more inviting to people and making it a more enjoyable experience. But somebody recommended this book to me, Reinventing Food Pantries. I don't know if you've all read this, but I'm in the process. And anyway, the big theme of the book is to move beyond food into helping people make changes in their lives so that they're no longer dependent on food pantries. And I just wondered how many pantries have tried to do that. Like some pantries apparently think there's a model more than food or whatever, but there's coaches that work with people and referrals to or help people get connected up with services they need. Do people have the time or whatever to interest in doing things beyond supplying people with food to go to the next level?
Before COVID, we had a volunteer. She's actually now our regular volunteer because she's retired, but she was a nurse. She is a nurse, and she used to do blood pressures and give connections and work with the hospital in Bridgeton for how to connect. She had resources. She had a whole table set up with different resources, and she did blood pressures, and it worked really well. She's easy to trust and like, and she developed good relationships. But then once COVID came, we stopped that because of the close contact.
Mm-hmm.
And then we set up clothes and we meet upstairs, or they wait upstairs which is the church, in our pantry. And we put out we get clothes donated or household pots and pans, and we try to set that out. And that's, people utilize that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
that's great. I can share with you that so this program actually was developed in California, in San Francisco, by a nonprofit called Leah's Pantry. And so they've been working in California using this program. And that's pretty much what they're finding is they're able to, at the beginning stages, you're building a foundation, but really it's the community partnerships that we're able to bring in, financial advisors, social workers, life coaches, people who are able to help, and really by looking at root causes of food insecurity and getting people back on their feet, and even connections to the workforce and getting people reemployed. And that's kind of the idea of the program, is really to get people connected, not just create a warm environment. That's kind of one of the focus areas, but the community partnerships piece is huge. We've had pantries connect with local banks for financial advice and for help, even just setting up checking and savings accounts, and local social workers. And I have Bill actually at Sumner Food Pantry is working with, I think it's a local clinic or a nurse or someone's going to be setting up a COVID vaccine clinic, I think in the spring for him to give out booster shots. So there's a lot that you can do with the program, and that's a huge part of it. And I've just started reading that book that you're reading. So I'm looking forward to finishing that. But yeah, that's the idea, is reducing the stigma like Holly was talking about, and really making your pantry more of like a community center, and getting more referrals. And if that's what you want to do, there's a lot of flexibility in the program to do that.
If you guys haven't seen, Carl also added another book in the chat called The Stop: How the Fight for Good Food Transformed a Community, Inspired a Movement. And I know it's a phenomenal book, and it has the people who are growing the food, eating the food, processing it. It has evolved into a big community center. And I know many of you know Chris Borden with Foothills Food Works. And you're getting food from his thing. That is his dream, is to create the Stop here in the Foothills. So read it and join with him. He would love that. It's not such a pipe dream. It's definitely what our communities need, because as you know, just feeding people is not going to solve the problems of why they are at the food pantry. You're absolutely right.
And Joan, who is the author of Reinventing?
Can you hold that book up, Joan?
Sure.
Hold it up
Yeah,
again.
it's Katie, it's Reinventing Food Banks and Pantries, and the author is
okay, Kate S. something. I can't
Katie Martin.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. It's a fairly quick read, because you kind of get the sense of what she wants you to do, but it's pretty good. It talks about the history of the need for food pantries, because the government, of course, cut back on financial support for people. And so I guess it was after Reagan when he made big cuts in financial support for low-income people, then the pantries had to come in to support people that didn't have enough money to eat. But anyway, it talks about how to, do more than just provide food, if that's not going to be enough. But they talk about, she talks about pantries signing people up for SNAP. Is that something that we do, or people do in pantries? I don't really know any.
We've done it before. Who were the people that they're interns, and they used to come up from Portland? I can't remember, and they would help sign people up for SNAP. But I think there's a fine line to walk. I know a lot of our clientele, or our participants, they don't like government involvement all the time. They're scared of the government. They're afraid they don't want them in their house. They don't want them, and I don't know if that's just our neck of the woods around Sweden and some of our more rural towns, because some of these things sound really good. Then I'm thinking, oh, they're going to think I'm, that we're prying, or we're, so I'm not sure how to quite walk that line.
Just find that I'm getting a lot of people asking for more than food. They need assistance with oil. There's just a lot, rides to jobs. I mean, people really seem to have a lot of issues right now.
I had a lady, and she was young, so I can't say it's because we have an older clientele. She would not sign up for SNAP. The woman was there to talk, and she said no, because if I make one, this is her talking. If I make a mistake, they're going to come and they're going to tap my check, and I won't have any money that month. Or they're afraid of making a mistake, and of the government coming after them. And I don't know how to ease their fears. They're real. I
And,
mean,
and
I know
the
her.
form to apply for SNAP is 18 pages.
Oh, my God.
And it's a
So-
small
So
amount
the
of
fear of
money.
making a mistake is real because you're giving out your information and you feel that it could be readily available, and it's 18 pages. And we're
That's
talking
ridiculous.
to a population who may not have access to a computer, who may not, and you have to have all your paperwork. You have to
Right.
have all your ducks in a row in order to sign up. It is not easy. And
Right.
our governor, a couple governors ago, said that SNAP nutrition educators like me, I'm legally not allowed to sign people up for SNAP. I am not allowed to help them.
I bet I
Wow.
know who you're
Can
talking
you
about.
believe that?
Yes, I can from that, from,
Let's
Wow.
not
But
go
it-
back that way again.
but
But
it is, I mean, it is sad because these are real fears. And there's reasons for them, like 18
Yeah.
pages. And then even with the card, it's not called food stamps anymore. I'm dating myself, but what's that card called now? Whatever it is.
EBT.
Yeah.
EBT card.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that they say for all of the hoops they jump through, the signing up, they for $6 more, or $8, it's not worth it to them because they're fearful of it.
And how much is the SNAP worth?
I don't know.
Oh,
It's
It
depending
depends
income.
it depends on how many people are in your family, the ages of the people in your family, if there is any income. There's a whole formula that gets figured out.
see. So, Karen, you were saying people need fuel assistance. We have the Salvation Army gives us vouchers for fuel assistance, or I think our Penny can write whatever these things are, vouchers for whatever people may need, or if they have a crisis, if they need oil or to pay a medical bill or something, I don't know, but so maybe if you talk to the Salvation Army, they might be able to give you something.
Thank you very much.
I thought they just did the food vouchers. I didn't know about that, so that's good information.
Yeah.
We've had on the New England Development Corporation, is that what they were called? I can get that information. And they have people that it's a phone call, you call, and they will help people with services like for housing, for heating, for job searches, and things like that.
Oh,
Some of the programs that the people are applying for, like HEAP, just haven't started. I mean, they're waiting and waiting. And meanwhile, it's below zero. It's very cold. What are they supposed to do? So the Salvation Army is the good tip. Thank you. Gives me
yeah,
some-
I'll
Yeah.
double check on exactly what's possible with it, but do you know Penny Robbins, who's the
No.
director of Bridgeton? I'll try to get more information.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Usually
mean,
you can go to the people can go to their local town office for fuel assistance, but I had somebody tell me from some town, that they tried that and he didn't qualify, and I don't know how he could not possibly not qualify, but yeah. So everything's
Our
hard.
church has been doing it. So Servants Hut Food Pantry has been doing it, but you know, oil is so costly right now. It's not going to take long before we are tapped on our the amount that we can help. So just don't know.
yeah. I think our local community center in Bridgeton does get some funding as well. I don't know if it's from the block grant, community block grants, so that there's some money available through that we can refer people to the community center and they can provide some help financially as well. So I don't know what your communities.
You have to be from Cumberland County to tap into that block grant, I believe.
Yes, well, but every county has it, I think. It's not
Well,
just,
If somebody knows about Oxford Hills, because I haven't been able to find the community block grant for Oxford Hills.
Right, and I know somebody wrote me to ask about that, and
I
I
did.
sent it
Yeah.
to Carl and Holly Legee-Cressman because I couldn't find anything on that. Carl, do you know anything about the community block grants in Oxford County?
No, but I know the treasurer of Oxford County and I'll reach out to her.
Thank you.
Actually, she'll be on my 7 o'clock book club call. I'll ask her.
There you go.
I'll ask Beth and see. She would know. Yeah. So, anybody else have any other questions or anything you'd like to share? Any good tips?
I guess if I just had one question, it would just be a general sense of the pantries out there. If you think things are getting a little bit busier the past month or so, or if there's any change that you've seen the past month or two.
We've
I
been
think-
holding stable.
no, we're getting busier in Bridgeton. We have
That's
5 or 6 people new people signing up each week, apparently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we run in the news. I don't know if you saw it, but I'm not familiar with the TV stations, but they did a program about Bridgeton and homeless people coming to Bridgeton from the big cities. Thinking
saw
it's
that.
going, did you see it? Yeah,
In the Bridgeton News. That surprised me.
it was frightening.
Yeah.
That people are coming up here thinking the rents are cheaper and that there might be a shelter here, but there isn't. We don't have
I think-
shelters.
I think
Is
we've
it-
been seeing a lot of homeless people too in our area, Rumford and Peru and Dixfield, so there's not many apartments available in this area either.
Is there a
Housing is
shelter?
huge problem.
There are shelters and we receive people from the shelters that come, so.
Wow. Yeah, it's very sad with this cold weather. These people are gonna, well, I'm from Boston. People die.
Yeah.
And the police go
Serious.
out, and look for everybody, but I don't know what people do up here.
Yeah.
But
We
I
had
don't
a
know.
young lady living in her Jeep and it was very cold, her and her dog. And that was very heartbreaking to hear
Yeah.
that she was living in her Jeep.
yeah, I just
Bill,
heard that.
did you have something?
I just don't want to, it was along Jimmy's question. Dave Bean emailed everyone this week from Bethel saying that January more food was given away in January than ever before in the Bethel food pantry. So
Yeah.
Now, I know that in Bridgeton, I know that you have shoppers go into your pantry. And we do that, well, we do both. And are the other pantries all, are you guys doing still drive-through boxes or are you letting people in?
We're still doing drive-up distribution right now because COVID has been so bad in our area.
I know, and
Yeah.
I've been worried, and I guess that's my question. And I don't know, I did ask Amy and she was gonna check in, but does anybody ask for, I'm wondering if we should be asking to see vaccination cards or is that even legal? Because we're a 501c3, I don't really want to get into that. We'd still be offering food as a drive-through method, but I'm getting more and more nervous rather than feeling better about it.
I
That's
did,
how my,
oops.
No.
I was just gonna say, the hospital pantry is open and it's a self-serve pantry and I do not ask for vaccination.
It is
Uh,
self-serve.
yeah.
They just, what day are you open?
I'm open 3 days a week. So Tuesday, Thursday and Friday
I'd
from
like to see,
11 to 3.
can I just drop in and see it sometimes during those
Absolutely.
hours?
Of course.
I'll wear my mask.
That's required, but vaccination is not.
Yeah, and it's required for us also. Are you worried about the cloth masks versus the more safe ones now, or are you just letting it go?
I'm
Yeah.
just worried about getting them food.
Okay,
Right.
gotcha. That's
I
good.
mean, it's funny, it's not funny. I'm wearing 2 masks when I go into the schools, a surgical mask and then the cloth mask on tops to keep the surgical mask closer. And in 2 different classrooms today, kids noticed and they asked me why I was wearing 2 masks. So I thought that
Good.
was, they're paying attention. I want it
They
to be
are.
safer. But
Yeah.
Linda, I don't know if you can ask, you certainly can't require vaccinations.
I wouldn't think so. One of our volunteers threw that out and I said, I don't know. We're a public entity. We're serving people. To me, we're like frontliners.
I know you
So-
can certainly encourage people to get vaccinations. and
Yeah.
provide you information on where they can go and get all that.
I think the majority of them are, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
And I did, Linda, bring it to, like I said, I was digging for some more answers just so that I was clear, but I did bring it to my upper management and she's checking with our COVID team just to see kind of
Yeah.
what the feeling is at Good Shepherd. But I did have a good suggestion from one of my coworkers. And I know you had said something about, if they're sick, you can give them a to-go box.
Right.
So yeah, one of them said just have, some really positive signage saying, be safe, wear a mask, or if you're feeling sick, let us know and we'll give you a to-go box. So that's kind of just
Yeah.
another way to kind of go around it
And we
without
do,
actually asking.
yeah, we do kind of do that. I just.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
East Sumner has, people are shopping, but they're not going in to shop. They have a checklist that you're basically like ordering Hannaford to go, but you're ordering from the East Sumner Food Pantry. And you check off the items that you want in your car. So somebody comes out to your car, gives you a clipboard with a checkoff list, and then they go and fill it and bring out the box to you. So that might be
I have seen their list and I have thought about it. It's just one of those things. The thought of it overwhelms me. But
they had a lot of volunteers. I went out right before Christmas to see Bill, and they had a lot of volunteers in there. They just, Hartford's food pantry just closed. So a lot of people are now going to the East Sumner one, and they picked up their volunteers. It is a much more volunteer intensive way to do it, but that it certainly is
In
You're
Bethel,
worried about-
they're giving out the boxes but then they are also have a table that's set up where the car is pulling up and you're kind of getting the information, and the table is laid out with all those oddball things so they're able to do a little bit of both. They're shopping and they're getting the box, and we're just taking things from that table and putting them right into the cars right outside. So it's got a little bit of feel like you're getting some choice in what you're getting, which is helpful.
Put the
now, if we
farina
ever
on
get
the
our
tables.
circular driveway, and if we ever got our circular driveway, I can envision that.
Oh, you
Right
got a
now, it's
van.
just
You got a
small.
van, Linda. You're not getting it
We
drive.
got a van. I want it all, Polly. I want it all.
I think you should put the farina out on the tables, because at the Oxford's Food Pantry, when they had a ton of lentils, so I made little samples of lentil stuff, and we got through so many lentils, just putting them out on the table. People think free stuff. Let me take that.
And we have a section and we call it Last Chance. And that's where the farina sits. And we just recently put some of the dried into Last Chance to get it.
Quick before it runs out.
Before it runs out. Well, guys, this has been awesome. Thank you all for spending your very cold Wednesday afternoon with us in this very warm place. It's so wonderful to see you all. Thank you, Jimmy, for joining us. Welcome anytime. It's great to see you all. Thank you for all that you do. Let me know, let Amy know, let Meg know, let Jimmy know what we can do to help you help our community, because without you, there would be a lot of very hungry people out there, and we know that. So,
Thank you. And the reason I
Thank you.
always come is because every time I've learned something new or a new resource or something. And so I think, well, I can't miss that.
that's right. That's right. Thank you. That's great. And
Yes,
this
thank you
is
very much.
recorded, and I will send out a link. I didn't actually get the recording in when we were doing intro, so sorry about that. I forgot.
Thank you very much, Holly.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Holly.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Everyone.
You.
Take care.
Bye-bye.